got some problems that you wanna solve? Then let's chat. That job getting on your nerves, then let's chat. Girl, you know I can relate, so let's chat. Cause I'ma tell you what the bottom line is.
I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. What the bottom line is. What the bottom line is.
I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Bottom Line Is. It's your girl Cece, and as always, we have another amazing episode. This has just been a phenomenal season. I think this is probably my most favorite season. I might say that next year for season 4. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I will. Okay, so quote me. That's just going to have to be the tagline of The Bottom Line Is, the sub-tagline. But tonight's episode is one that I know is going to hit home for everyone that is watching, and make sure that, you know, when it hits home for you, that you're sharing it with your friends, your family, your coworkers, because it's something that I think is kind of like a taboo topic that people just don't talk about. And that is that the strong ones struggle too. And we're going to really be focusing on high functioning depression. And for me, I know I just really learned what this was maybe a couple of years ago. I just randomly came across a TikTok video and it was talking about it. And for whatever reason, I actually sat there and watched this video that showed up on my FYP. And I was like, oh, wow, that sounds a lot like me. Like, you know, always going on autopilot, you know, just keeping moving. And, you know, you don't really have that time to sit down and just kind of take in all the things that you're going through so you can be able to deal with it head on. Right. So I don't want to spoil anything, but we're going to get into it. So tonight's guest is my girl, Domonique. And let me just share a little background. She's going to tell you about herself for sure. But I just wanted to share how Domonique and I connected. So as you all know, I am Miss Maryland Corporate America 2025. Yes. And Domonique is Miss Illinois Corporate America 2025. So I think that says enough right there, right? So her and I met in person this time last year at Nationals. And so we definitely hit it off. And then we found out we have a mutual friend as well. So it's just like the connections just continue. And now she's here as a guest on my podcast. So I couldn't have asked for a better relationship. And Domonique is phenomenal. She had the Dominators. They were all out there. Okay. All right. Dominators represent. Okay. So, you know, she got her squad behind her. And I loved it. I was like, you go ahead, girl. I need to get on that level. Clock that. Okay.
So silly.
She's phenomenal, and she's going to tell you all about the wonderful things that she does and has done throughout the episode. But we're really going to get to it because, like I said, this episode is about how the strong ones struggle too. Because again, when you're looking from the outside in, you don't know what people are going through every day. So we're going to just peel back the layers and really talk about it. So with all that said, not trying to take anybody's light. So Domonique, tell us a little bit about you so our fans can relate.
Oh, you've done such an amazing introduction, Queen CC. I am affectionately known as Domonique from Detroit, the joy-spreading emotional intelligence expert who is also diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety. That's what I've been talking about openly on my social media for the last couple of months because wounds need air to heal. And something I want to tell y'all, though, Sierra said that we found out that we had a mutual friend. No, she knew. She knew before we got there, and she waited until we got in person to be like, okay, like, and guess who you know? My best friend, and she my best friend. So like,
that was funny.
We share a mutual friend that we both love dearly, but Sierra has known her longer, so I got to give deference. Okay, but shout out to Lashina. We love you, girl. Yeah. As she said, I am also the reigning Miss Corporate America Illinois. Shout out to my successor, Miss Corporate America Northern Illinois, that's about to compete in the competition at the end of this month. So that's Dr. Muriel Lee. We're rooting for Illinois to win again. And I'm just really excited to be here. When you offered the invite to be on the podcast with you, I jumped at the opportunity because I love you, number one. And I appreciate this platform that you are creating for us to be able to share our story. So anything I can do for my sis, I'm absolutely going to do.
Thank you. Love you back. And, like you said, I like what you said. Wounds need room to heal, for air. I'm sorry.
Yes, to heal.
Yeah. And, that's a great analogy, actually. Like, I was like, I love that because, that's the first thing when you're younger and you scrape your knee. They're like, oh, well, you got to let it air out. But you're right. Like sometimes you have to be vulnerable. And now that social media is such a big thing, being vulnerable on social media, which people are doing more and more and sharing the things that are going on in their life is really helping others to make a difference. Just like me talking about the things that I talk about on my podcast, people sharing their stories. They're being vulnerable because just like you said before we started recording, like everybody can relate. Sometimes you just don't know how to verbalize it.
Yeah.
So I think that was an excellent point and a good way to basically kick off. So let's take it back to nationals. So what was that? End of June 2025. First of all,
dun, dun, dun.
I know from the moment that we got crowned, it was on and popping to get ready for nationals. I mean, I don't think we even had a time to breathe. I know I didn't. It was just like, oh my gosh, trying to get everything done. So it's just like from the outside looking in and, people saw the gowns, the interviews, all the networking that we were doing, all the events that we were at, just all the glitz and glamour. And when I started this season, I actually talked about pageantry as a performance or strategy because that's what, people talk about. That's what they see. But when you were going through that season of the pageant, I mean, what was happening for you internally during that time?
Well, I did the pageant number one to prove to myself that I can do hard things. So I was coming off of a season of grief. I had been, now I can proudly say I'm celebrating 2 years as a full-time entrepreneur. But right before that, thank you, in 2024, on June 3rd to be exact, I was laid off from my full-time job where I was the only Black person on the team. So you can imagine what type of environment that was and the relief, the trauma that I had to recover from during that time frame. I had recently ended a relationship with a guy that I thought I was going to be with for the rest of my life. So grieving that. My mother died. My biological mother died the year before as well. So I was putting all of the pieces back together and doing my best to show up in a way that was still authentic. But, I'm out here doing all of the things. And I had committed to myself that this year or that 2025 was the year that I was going to be more in the media for my business, which is why I ended up doing the Miss Corporate America pageant anyway. So when I won for Illinois, we're all on a high. I took a little break for a couple of weeks because we campaigned so hard. I felt like I was running for president
I know.
of the United States. Like it was crazy. And then to start that up again for the national pageant, it gave me something to look forward to, but it was also like I was running on steam, not fumes, but steam. And I did everything that I did with the full confidence. We talked about this. Like, I love you, but I'm the queen, right? With the full confidence that I was coming to win the pageant. So what it looked like was me kissing babies, hugging grandmas, speaking, doing all of the things that I do normally, right? But with this larger platform that served as inspiration for young girls, but also people who look like me that come from communities that I'm from, to show them that they could do hard things too. So it was hard, but it was also fun because I had my blinders on. We were all dominators and we were coming to dominate. So when we get to the pageant and we go through all of the weekend, and I got all of my confirmations from God that I was going to win. And then for the two people who were standing left at the end, the winner of the pageant and myself to be called first runner-up was a huge blow. It was like a gut punch. That was the beginning. Well, I don't even want to say the beginning.
I think it took you back to where you were probably previously, that previous year.
And I don't even know if I would say it took me back there because the grief felt different this time. Like, I definitely was able to identify that it was grief. I was grieving the idea of what I thought my life would be like after the pageant, but also the idea of being the winner, because there has never in my entire life, and I will be 42 in September, there has never been a time frame where I put all of my effort into something and I did not win. I didn't come out on top. So experiencing something like that on such a like national platform, and like when you watch the videos of my team and my watch party here in Chicago, like us, we're standing there, you know, hand to hand, and they're screaming, chanting my name. And when they called me as the first runner up, everybody was like silent, like because nobody could believe it, you know. So like to have to stand in a place of elegance and grace as I eat the loss, because nobody wants to call it a loss, but that's what it was, right? You eat it. And my then 10-year-old daughter is standing there watching the things, holding a bouquet of flowers for me, boohoo crying, walking through it was just such a, this may sound like a dramatic word, but it was a traumatic experience that it took me a while to recover from. So what I teach people in my business, in my practices, I teach them a method that I've coined called pause, process, pivot, which are the 3 Ps of emotionally intelligent leadership, right? So I had to ultimately become my own client because the outcome was not what I thought it was going to be. So I had to pause first to give myself the space to feel, and then process all of the things that were going on so I could figure out what my next steps were, and then pivot to be able to make sure that I could still function as a business owner, as the queen of Illinois, as a mom, as a girlfriend, all of those things, right? So it kind of pulled the rug from under me in a way that was unexpected, but I felt like I was working my way through. And then here comes the winter time here in Chicago with seasonal depression, it being in the negative temperatures, no sun, your boy in office, making it difficult to get contracts in education because that's the space that I work in.
Making it difficult to go out anywhere.
Look, hot mess. And so there were so many things that happened during that time frame that by December, I can almost think back, it was like December 6th, December 4th, December 6th, like my joy was gone. I had been working to be on a journey back to joy ever since the pageant, and just December came and it was just like, what am I doing now? So like many people saw the glitz and the glam. Like I still posted, you know, I tried to be outside, I traveled. The focal point of my life on social media at that point became my newly found relationship, because my boyfriend from college and I reconnected 20 years later. And like, that was a beautiful love story. But like on the inside, I'm literally falling apart, crying myself to sleep at night, like all of these crazy things that are happening. And in February, I had the amazing opportunity to be a Super Bowl media correspondent. And I just sat in that hotel room while I was out there. You know, I showed up very well on camera, did the thing with the people, interviewing NFL players, networking, getting my business out there. But I just could not believe that I was at the height of my career, but felt like I was at the lowest of the possible lows that could be mental health wise. So it's just a crazy juxtaposition on how those things can happen. And I feel like that's many people's stories too.
Yeah. And when did you recognize that that you hit that rock bottom where it's like, yes, you're still showing up, but when did it click home to you that like, I got to get some help, you know, on this? Like, I need something else. I can't keep running on steam.
Yeah. It looked like I was showing up, but I wasn't. And that's right. How I could tell that I really needed the help. Like everything was so hard to do. Like people would be like, oh, are you okay? Yeah, I'm just tired. Yeah, well, you need to rest. I sleep all day. I was sleeping all day. I would sleep at night, wake up in the middle of the night, stay up for a little bit, then sleep in the morning, and wake up and then sleep in it. So it affected my ability to be able to work. I remember I was in Colombia sending out proposals that totaled about $50,000 in contracts to prepare me for the like next few months. So I would have money that was coming in. I talked to these people, everything was good. They just had to sign the contracts and they ghosted me. They ghosted me. So it's like, all right, so how am I going to pay my rent? Like, what am I going to do about my car note? Like, my kids need stuff for Christmas. I'm supposed to be traveling to go introduce my children to my boyfriend's family. Like, what am I supposed to do? So it was really like around that time frame where it got like really dark. And I tried to like, I did a meeting of the minds with my friends. We called it I called the support plan emergency meeting, because like I was in a place where I could not get myself out of, like financially, emotionally. I just bared it all out on the table for my friends because they know me best and I needed them to help me figure out a plan of attack. So we did that. And they helped me to get back on my feet for the month of January. But like after that, it's just been kind of like a downward spiral since then. And so, yeah, I knew I needed help, but like there was also a change in my health insurance where my therapist no longer took the new insurance that I had. I was trying to like take the last few pills that I had from, I was taking Prozac on the pageant during the pageant season so that I can have something to help me regulate because I wasn't doing my normal things or whatever. And I had a few tablets of those left. So I would try to take those. That didn't help because it wasn't consistent enough. And it was just like, literally, I was crying myself to sleep almost every night. Like I knew I couldn't continue to function like that, but what else could I do? Like what else could I do? So
yeah, and that's the thing. We all get to that point. I feel like as a high functioning person that like we don't have a choice to stop and take care of ourselves, but we need to, you know, because if we don't and we crash, what is that going to mean? What is that going to look like? And ain't going to look like nothing.
Listen, and it's tough because as an emotional intelligence expert, people think that you have it all together, right? Like Dom is expressive with her feelings, but she'll figure it all out. You know, like she don't really need help. She's the one that helps us. You know, oh, she's smiling today, so I can go and talk to her about my problems and blah, blah, blah. And it just was not like that. It was not like that. And I have so many tools in my toolkit to help with mental health. I tried everything that I could. I tried doing one thing per day. That's what restarted my journey back to joy in like March, right? Doing one thing per day to help me get unstuck. I launched a new part of my business to help with coaching individuals who felt unstuck because I'm great. I mean, felt stuck to get unstuck, right? Building capacity. I did those things. I did a keynote speech. I put myself out there and nothing helped. No exercise, no prayer, no journaling, no nothing helped. And it got to the point where I caught a really bad head cold. I think you might have saw that this is when I signed up initially to meet with you. I caught a really, really bad head cold right before I was getting ready to judge a pageant here in Chicago for the city chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi here. And at first, I'm like, all right, I'll get through it. But it lasted for almost 3 weeks. And my friends are like, Domonique, you need to go to the doctor because it was getting worse and worse and worse. And there is where I got the help. The Lord, I feel like he sent that sickness so that I can actually get my butt up and go to the doctor to get the help that I need, which I wasn't expecting because I'm telling her about my symptoms, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, but how are you? Like, are you okay? And I just boo-hoo cried. Like,
yeah, because like sometimes we don't see it like when we're going through it. You know what I mean? And sometimes, again, we're the strong ones. We got to be strong for everybody. We got to keep moving. We got to, you know, we shrug it off and just keep going. I know, like I said, I'm guilty, you know, for sure. So, you know, just like myself, you know, you're a woman that is high achieving. You know, do you think that sometimes we attach our worth to the next accomplishment?
Yeah, I do think that is a common trait, habit amongst especially high achieving Black women. I took off my cape a long time ago, though. So I could see that I needed help, and I told people that I was struggling and that I needed help, but it felt like nobody believed me. It felt like people, I'm about to cry, like thinking about it, because they were saying, no, you're fine. Like you got this, you just got to X, Y. No, I don't have it. I'm telling you. And then
reaching out.
Everybody says, like, when you feel like you're at rock bottom, like reach out and, I'll be here, but I'm telling you, and you're like, oh, okay, well, and it's because people are not trained to deal with things that heavy. I can support people because I have experience in that regard, and support is my God-given superpower. So even though I may be feeling low, I can still hold space and coach you through a breakthrough. Many people are not like that. So like, it's like, I felt like I was walking around cosplaying as myself, and my inner child was like screaming, like sitting in a corner, waiting to be like nurtured and like loved and taken care of and seen, and nobody could see that. So it was really tough, because I was trying my best to show up, but I was only really able to go out when it was like high stakes. So if I was getting paid for an appearance, or I needed to go somewhere to network for my business in order to get a contract, I was literally only able to do that. And then I would come home and be asleep and like eating and whatever. I didn't gain 15 pounds in the last 3 months, girl. It's a whole hot mess. But like, it's tough when you know that you need the support, but it's like you have to convince people to see you as what you really are, experiencing. But on the flip side, like my honey says that he always sees the greatness in me. My functioning at 5-10% is other people's 80-90%. So like, it doesn't look like I'm struggling, but me knowing what I'm capable of and not being able to do it just caused like this internal tug of war that was really difficult to experience.
No, I totally get that, and I received that. Now, when did you realize that I'm not just tired, but something is wrong? And you kind of touched on this in a couple of different ways, but I mean, again, I know you were still showing up, like you just said, like when there's, something for your business that you have to do, because, as a high functioning person, you're still achieving things. Like you still understand, like, hey, I got to make money because I got to do these things. So you still want to show up. But like you said, your inner child is somewhere over there in a corner somewhere and like just screaming. So, was there a pivotal time for you with any of that, or?
Yeah, I feel like I knew right away, but I was trying to like get ahead of it with my journey back to joy, because I'm the joy spreading emotional intelligence expert, right? So I'm going to do all these things, and ChatGPT told me I was trying to perform my way out of depression. And I'm like, first of all, and I really talked to her like that. I said, don't talk to me like that, because that's not what I'm trying to do. Like, did you think that I'm telling you that I'm feeling this way, and did you really think it was appropriate to talk to me in that way? And she's like, well, I'm sorry, I could have been a little softer, especially like knowing what blah blah blah. But like, it was really the moments when procrastination like took over my life and became what's the word? I can't think of the word. It was like a literal halt. Like I could not get my brain to turn on unless it was like let's say I have a proposal that I said I was going to do. I was going to get it to you by tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I sit up at my computer the days before. I can't do anything but play games on my phone because that's giving me a dopamine boost.
Yep.
All of those things. And then now it's 7:15. And I told you that I was going to get, and I get a boost, but then I can't even finish that. And I now have to let you know that I can't get it to you on time. Like more of those things started happening to the point where I wasn't even turning them in on time anymore. It would be like a week late. I know I lost contracts or like things because of things like that, but it got to the point where I really could not function. And now I'm not necessarily hating myself, but it's like, like what's wrong with me? How come you can't? These things aren't working, blah, 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 blah.
It's most people think you can turn it off and turn it on, but it is just it's so hard. I call it fire flight mode. I feel like I just am operating in that, and it's just like just going. Like I feel like the Energizer Bunny, but deep down, this bunny ain't got no energy
Girl,
at all. You know what I'm saying?
As soon as you said that, the word came, it's paralysis. I felt paralyzed. Like it's task paralysis like that. And it wouldn't be for all of the things. Like I could do, no, I could jumpstart. So like I could do my lashes or wash the dishes or like do a load of laundry. And like, you know, like that would give me my oxytocin boost or my dopamine boost because I was able to accomplish something. But anything like further than that, where I had to turn my brain on and actually think, I couldn't do.
Yeah, no, I received that. Yeah. And, you know, if you can relate, definitely give us a thumbs up to let us know that you can relate in the comments.
Yeah.
So why do you think successful women are so good at hiding when they are struggling?
I honestly don't know if we hide. I think we're just still able to achieve, and people see achievement as success. And if you're able to achieve, you can't be struggling.
Right.
It's impossible. They can't coexist because you're still able to get out here and do the thing. And we're going to celebrate you for working through exhaustion and burning the candle at both ends of the stick because you did it, girl. And that's all that matters is your productivity. So we are still able to be productive, but you're not hiding. People just don't see the signs. Like when somebody asks you how you doing, you're like, oh, I'm just tired. Really? You tired and it's 3:00 in the afternoon and nobody thinks that there's anything wrong with that, right? Or, oh girl, where have you been? Oh, I just been at home chilling. You know, people be peopling, but you know, I come outside every night. No, that's isolation. Like, have you not noticed that I'm usually outside smiling and now you barely see me unless it's at like a big event? So I don't think that we hide. I think people just miss the signs and I don't think they do it intentionally. I know, as a matter of fact, they don't do it intentionally because people are inherently good and they want to care, but they don't know what to look for or how to support if they do see something. So it's easier to just kind of sweep it under the rug.
No, I get you. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes the people pouring into everyone, like you said, are truly the emptiest ones, right? Yeah. So no, totally agree with that. That's my saying this podcast. Totally agree with that because you're hitting all the points. Now, you mentioned that you teach resilience and emotional intelligence. Was there pressure because you felt like I help people with this? I should know how to fix myself. Now, I know you said the mantra earlier, which I may get wrong. It was pause, pivot.
Pause, process, pivot. 3 Ps.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, did you feel like that? Did you feel like you were struggling with those 3 Ps too?
No. And that's, I'm so grateful for my honey because like he, keeps me grounded, and regulates my nervous system in ways that like I never even like dreamed of for real. But, he brought to my attention that support is literally my superpower. So anytime that I would be in like a coaching meeting and it's just like something turns on in me. I don't even try. Like I call myself a conduit of energy, right? So it's like I'll pray, I read and do everything that I need to do before to prepare myself for the meeting. And I get in the meeting and it's just like the spirit just flows. And when that happens and the people are like, wow, I didn't even think about it that way. Or you helped me so much. It's just a reminder that I am not my circumstance, that this really is a gift. And that despite how I feel in the moment, I am still well equipped to do the work that he's called me to do. So it was actually reassuring and kind of a mood booster once I would get in the sessions to be able to support people. Now, I also know that people who work in the mental health space typically have the biggest challenges with mental health because that's the cup that we drink from. Right. So I wasn't like, how come I can't fix myself or why are the things not working? But I don't know if I would say I was becoming hopeless, but I was starting to feel like I felt my presence was a burden to other people. Like it was more, I felt so heavy because people would ask me how I'm doing, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna, oh, I'm fine, I'm not, and every time they ask me a question, it's always something heavy or dark, and you don't want to be that person for people. So I felt like I was more of a curse than a gift. That was difficult, but not necessarily not being able to heal myself. I actually learned that what God is trying to get from me in this season and was trying to get from me in that season was a level of intimacy that I never experienced, because I wasn't able to do anything without him. When I showed up, it's because he gave me the strength to show up. And immediately after, I came back and laid down in my bed in the dark. Like that's really what it was. So it was a supernatural tapping into the Holy Spirit that allowed me to do those things. And he has shown me pieces of himself in this relationship that we developed in this season that I never saw before. So if that was what the purpose of it was, I can say I'm grateful. It was hard. It still is hard. Like I still, I take SSRIs now. So like the medicine to help with mood regulation and a serotonin boost. But like, even with that, like there are still time frames in which I'm easily affected by things, and it's difficult, but it's not as tough as it was during that season. So
let me ask you this, and this can be looked at as a controversial type of question. Mm-hmm. Do you think anyone has ever healed from depression, whether it's high functioning depression or any other type of depression? Do you think you can truly be healed from it? Of course, yes, we can take medicine or anything to cope. Yeah. That's what I think it is, to cope, in my opinion. But do you think that people can actually be healed? Or that it goes away?
I guess I would say, I could say yes. I would use the term delivered, because I was diagnosed with clinical depression and anxiety when I was pregnant with my last daughter. So she's now 11, and I struggled greatly from 2014, because she was born in 2015. So 2014 up until about 2018. And so from 2018, 19 was a tough year, but like right around COVID, when COVID hit and having to stay home and like pour into myself and like all of that, I got to a place in my life where I was thriving. So that's how I became I was the joy spreading instructional coach, right? Like that's where that came. And then the joy spreading education nonprofit manager. And now I'm the joy spreading emotional intelligence expert. But like I definitely felt like I had been delivered from it, but there are things that have triggered it within me during this season. So, I don't know. I mean, definitely yes to be delivered from it, but I don't think that depression, it can be like a cold almost, I feel like, like you heal from a cold, you take the medicine, it gets out your system, but then something else happens, you're exposed to it again, and now you get sick again or like whatever, so you're not still carrying the same antibodies from that cold. It's a new version of it. So
yeah, I think I agree with you. And I would say that I don't feel like there's ever a cure from it. I just feel like the things lessen, and it, like you said, it's seasonal, you know what I mean? Because in the midst of my high functioning depression, like I don't even think my doctors even understood when I first said to them, like, hey, I have high functioning depression, you know what I mean? Like, because they look at it as, oh, well, now you're diagnosing yourself from TikTok University, right? Like, you know what I mean?
University.
But you're not there with me every day, right? Like you just see what I'm telling you is going on, right? So, but I definitely felt like when I looked and researched what it was, a couple of years ago, I was like, I had this a long time ago, and I think for me, it started out for me in my journey when I became a caregiver, but I never realized that because that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
And it was just something, the hat that I wore, and I had to do all these things, and I had to grieve the life that I, had thought that I was going to have at that time and didn't have, and, all the things that go along with that. But I feel like I have the high moments, and then sometimes I might have a medium low. But then there have been times where just low.
Yeah.
Now I'm at the high medium flow. You know what I mean? And I the reason why it came to me that question, just because I think that some of the viewers or people watching it just touched my spirit of, I want people to understand realistically what healing looks like, because I know I'm a person that I like instant gratification.
Yeah.
If I take a medicine and after, I'm gonna give it 2 weeks. If I'm not seeing anything, then I'm like, I'm not taking that anymore. I might just give up. I'm not. And so until the doctor asked me about it, then I'm like, no, I stopped taking that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just wanted people to understand that don't give up and don't ignore the feelings that you're feeling. You know what I mean? Get in tune with those things, because no, you might not technically be healed, but it's still there if you're not dealing with it, whether that's through a support group, like what you mentioned with your friends, or a therapist.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's different things that work for different folks to be able to deal with it. And I know, like, from the guests that I've had this season on the podcast, we talk a lot about therapy and the support group from your friends, because you learn something from them that helps you, like you said earlier, think about things from a different perspective than what you were used to, right? Because our mind regulates one or two ways, right? And so I just think that that's good to, recognize that and figure out what makes our world go into a positive way. Like, what things help us cope, understanding that. So when you had that traumatic event that may trigger that, or that triggering episode, you find out, like, okay, let me go back to my coping mechanisms.
Absolutely.
Instead of wandering in space, like, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? I'm lost. And then you're just going to take yourself deeper and deeper into, right? So, yeah, I don't know. That just came on my spirit, but to just put that out there. So hopefully that touched someone. Feel free to comment in the chat. But I wanted to also talk about dealing with depression while dating, because I think that's very hard, because while your spouse may, either they might have their own things that they're dealing with, or they might not be in that season of depression, right? So, and I feel like when you're dealing with the spouse, sometimes they don't know, how to deal with you, when you're going through something, right?
Yes.
And because they don't understand it, they don't, they just don't know what to do, really, right? So how do you educate your spouse? How do you let your spouse know how to support you in your time of need and things like that?
Yeah, I think that is a great point, because many people don't know how to support people. Like we talked about, dealing with depression. And I think that I have been blessed. I can't even say lucky. I've been blessed with the gift of emotional intelligence and having a high EQ. So I'm able to articulate what is going on with me, even though it is tough, and I can take accountability for it, right? Like, I do expect some level of support and a soft place to land, but I don't expect you to fix what is wrong with me, and I hate to even use the term what's wrong with me. I'll say what I'm struggling with, or the challenges that I'm having. I just need you to be present, right? So I think what has helped me greatly in my relationship is that I am with a man that he's not a, like, well, this just is what it is. I'm just this type of person. He's I'll work on that. Or let me learn more about that. Oh, or this is what you need. Like, I'm not really familiar with it, but tell me more. Like, what do I need to do in order to, like, be supportive? What do you need from me? What can I do? X, Y, and Z. And so it has definitely been challenging, but I will say it has been more of a lifeline for me than a challenge, if we're being honest, because right after the pageant, I really only talked to my boyfriend and my best friend, like, literally. And I have a huge community of friends, but, like, outside of that, like, I had no capacity to engage with anybody. And I talked to those two people because they called me every day, multiple times a day, check in, talk, kiki, ha ha ha, whatever. And it kept my mind from spiraling in the negative direction or whatever. So I will say it's important to, number one, increase your own self-awareness so that you know what is going on with you and you can articulate that to your partner. I got really really deep into research about my menstrual cycle too, because I started to notice that there would be certain times of the month, and it was repeated, where my mood was just like, like I hate
Those hormone
everything. You can't
changes,
say
yeah.
Okay, so like I started to study that, and like I now use the language like, babe, I'm in my luteal phase. So he's like, all right.
What did you
like,
say about the luteal phase?
He's like, okay, let me be extra nice to her. Let me send her some flowers. They're in water now. I was gonna pick them up and shove, but let me send some flowers. You want dinner? Here's a date night. Let me not, he figures out or has figured out a way to be able to support me in a way that I can feel and receive it, and not just like be upset with me because I'm feeling right. And that definitely took some work though, because like I am expressive, as you can see, and it's not just like bright things. I'm also okay. And so like he would get upset because I'm upset, and then I'm like, well, how are you upset because I'm upset? Like that don't even make sense. And because he's a masculine man that like, he loves me, he would pull back instead of like leaning into the argument so that he can see, like what's going on and assess the situation to try to like regulate us. So I just really appreciate having a partner who is curious about what I need and like what he needs to do in order to meet those needs for me, and not just, oh, this is what it is and this is how I am, and if you don't like this, then I'm out.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a blessing that you have someone that is vested into doing whatever they can, to help you. Now, what would you say to someone that is watching and they don't have that, what you just described, or any shape or form like that with their particular spouse?
Yeah.
What would you give them? Or like, what tips would you give them to have that conversation with their spouse?
When you are in a manic episode, it's kind of difficult to look for tools to communicate, or because most of the time you have no idea like what is really going on. It makes it difficult for you to even see what is happening. So I honestly don't have tips for you to be able to have a conversation on how they should support you. At that point, I would suggest that you reach for or search for an outside mediator. So whether that is a therapist that you have where you can share your thoughts and feelings and they help you process those things so you can come back and communicate with your partner or your spouse, or you all do couples therapy together so that there is a safe space for you to be able to share, and then the person be able to communicate with your partner on some tips and tricks. But to try to communicate this yourself when you don't really have experience with it and they don't have experience either is kind of like a recipe for a disaster. There are also some books that I would recommend reading with your partner. One of them specifically is called When Mars and Venus Collide. I wonder if I have mine close. It's written by Dr. John Gray, who is the author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And in that book, When Mars and Venus Collide, it talks about the different ways that men and women handle stress. And the first time that I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, is he like eavesdropping on my life? Like everything that he talked about that was a complaint from women was what I had going on in my previous relationship. So I'm like, oh, if we just do this, or blah, 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 it just provides a level of understanding from a male-female perspective, so you can see what the differences are and learn how to support one another as well. So I would not suggest you do it alone. I would suggest a therapist, and also having some kind of anchor text for you all to be able to pull resources from.
Yeah, I think that's awesome advice. And what boundaries or practices protect your mental health now?
It's a good question. I don't go outside as much. I'm not around a lot of people because I'm very sensitive and easily triggered in this season as I'm recovering. So I go out when it's necessary. If I'm missing a big event, I'll text or call, mostly text my friends to let them know that I love and support them, and I won't be there, but I'm with them in spirit, like all of those things, so that they can still feel my presence, because my relationships are important to me. But right now I have to give my energy to myself and my family, whatever little energy I do have. So that's a boundary. I have been practicing, I think it's called the gray rock method too. Like in certain situations, there are people that you have to deal with, right? Like that you can't cut off for whatever reason, and they do things to get a reaction out of you. And so instead of giving them the reaction, you practice being a gray rock. And it's like, no, because I'm not going to allow you to access that part of me that's going to take me to a point where I'm elevated and I'm going to have difficulty regulating myself to come down from. So I've been trying to do that, and that's been helpful in me not crashing out, because I am a recovering crash out, like for sure.
Right.
So I would say that. And then what other type of boundaries do I have? If I don't have the capacity to engage, I let people know. So like I told you, it's most of the time I only talk to like 2 people besides my children anyway. And if I need the space, I communicate that. Like I'll let them know at the start of the day, it's not a good day. Like I just need some time to like recalibrate. I'll reach out, but like I just need this 0 dark 30 time to be able to feel my feels and not have to perform for someone else in that moment. So I would say those are three specific boundaries that are kind of driving me right now.
Yeah, and the performing part of it all, it's exhausting.
It is.
Oh gosh,
it's
so exhausting. But
yes.
Well, what would you tell the woman who is winning publicly, but suffering privately?
You're not alone. Mm-hmm. You are not alone. There, you have a tribe. There are tons of us that are experiencing that, and you don't have to suffer privately. You can share your experiences, and just because you're having a tough time, it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you incapable of success or a disappointment or a heavy burden. Some people in your net, I would say all of them, they have their arms out ready to receive you if you would allow them to, right? So let somebody help you. You don't have to wear the cape. Let somebody help you. And if you don't have anybody in your friend group or your family to do that, pay somebody to help you, because that's what a therapist is, a paid friend to sit and like listen to you and help you like figure out things instead of sitting in an echo chamber and letting the thoughts just like run rampant in your brain.
Yeah, and I'll add something too to that you said earlier. Don't make an assumption that you're being a burden to someone else because you're expressing yourself and your needs as well. So, well, to get ready to close out. Normally, I close out my podcast episodes by like kind of summarizing what we talked about and starting it off with the bottom line is.
Yes.
But I would like for you as my guest to tell everyone what the bottom line is. So the bottom line is high functioning depression taught me.
Okay. The bottom line is high functioning depression taught me that I am worthy of love even when I'm not performing.
Love that. So you heard it, y'all. No, you write in the comments what you think the bottom line is after listening to today's episode. So I want to definitely thank my girl, Domonique. You did an amazing job. Thank you for showing up for me and showing up for yourself and being here on my podcast. I really appreciate it. Do you have any, projects going on? How can people reach you if they want to be able to continue to follow your journey and know more about your businesses and things of that nature?
Love that. So I am reacclimating my relationship with social media because I had to take a break from that too. But if you want to follow me on the socials, my business page is at _UCA, like Urban Community Alliance Nation. So that's my business page. My personal page, because they're all intertwined at this point, I am the business, is _Domonique Natasha. That's DOMONIQUE Natasha, spelled regularly. And I always got something going on, but the things that I always recommend people to look into from me are my books, because as you can see, I'm a published author and I have published 2 books that help people heal from the things that they hide from others. So the first one is called The Container. It's an independent reflection journal That is a hard stone type cover because it's safe enough to hold the things that you can't share with other people, right? So that's that. And then my second book is called I Am My Daughter's Keeper. It's a mother-daughter shared journal that helps to increase connection and resolve conflict between moms and daughters. So you can find them both on Amazon by just searching either The Container by Domonique Natasha or I Am My Daughter's Keeper by Domonique Natasha, and you can get your copy from there. It should be available on Prime too.
Okay, so you all heard that. Make sure that you follow all of her social medias, get that book off of Amazon, and continue to follow her journey because she's gonna be doing some amazing things. She's already doing amazing things, but she's gonna continue doing amazing things. So you don't want to miss out on anything. So thank you again for being my guest today, and thank you all. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you have not done so already, and share this episode. Just like I said in the beginning, share it with a friend, share it with a coworker, share it with someone, because I can guarantee you that this episode will help someone. And that's what we do. And that's why we do it here on The Bottom Line. So again, thank you so much for